Hello students, welcome to Legacy IAS again. Today we are going to discuss about a meeting that is going to take place today itself is the meeting of ASEAN, and the discussion is going to take place on the issues or the crisis we can say that is going on in Myanmar. So in this particular video we are going to discuss in detail what is ASEAN, what is the purpose and the reason behind this meeting, and what basically is the Myanmar crisis which has caused all the member nations to come together and have deliberations and discussion on it. So first of all, the context in which we are discussing today's issue is because the foreign ministers from the member countries of ASEAN, that is also called as Association of Southeast Asian Nations, they are meeting today in the Jakarta, the capital of Indonesia. The main reason behind the meeting is to discuss an intensifying crisis that has been going on in Myanmar, and also 18 months ago Myanmar had signed a peace agreement or peace plan with the ASEAN. So the one other objective of meeting is also to understand how far successful or how successful has been this particular peace plan between ASEAN and Myanmar. As far as the regular or annual summit or meeting of ASEAN is going to take place in the next month, and not only the members of ASEAN but other several world leaders are also expected to join this particular meeting, and that is why it is very interesting, and the ASEAN members are actually want to come to a certain conclusion and to present a particular kind of peace plan which can be presented even in its annual summit as far as tackling the crisis in the Myanmar is concerned. So first of all, let us try to understand what is an ASEAN. So ASEAN, as you know, it stands for Association of Southeast Asian Nations, and it is basically considered as a political and economic union. And the main objective with which ASEAN was set up is to promote intergovernmental cooperation among the 10 member countries of ASEAN. At the same time, it also aims to promote intergovernmental cooperation between ASEAN members as well as the other major countries of the world, including India itself. Apart from that, it also aims to facilitate multi-dimensional integration among all the 10 member countries. For example, this multi-dimensional integration can take place in political sphere, in the economic sphere, cultural sphere, security sphere, and so and so. The main objective of ASEAN is to accelerate economic growth and through that also achieve a significant progress in the social sphere as well as the cultural development of the countries. Not only that, it also seeks to promote regional peace and stability based on the international rule of law and the principle of UN Charter. With this objective, 10 member countries or 10 countries of Southeast Asia has come together to form this political and economic union. So, who are the members of this particular grouping? So, member countries, as you can see from this particular map, we have Myanmar, then we have Thailand, Cambodia, Singapore, Indonesia, Malaysia, Vietnam, Laos, Philippines, and another country that is Brunei Darussalam. These 10 member countries, 10 countries basically are the members of ASEAN. Now, the main question that comes is why the sudden meeting between foreign ministers of ASEAN has been arranged. So, there are four major reasons behind this meeting. The first reason is to discuss the ongoing emergency in Myanmar. To give you a background, Myanmar is going through a political chaos because few years back, the military of Myanmar has overthrown in a coup the legitimately elected government of Myanmar that was led by the famous leader, also Nobel Prize winner Aung San Suu Kyi. And after that, Myanmar has been basically, you can say, driven into a political turmoil and political crisis. There has also been large-scale civil protest, we can say, protest against the Myanmarese government, Myanmarese military, we can say, that has also caused killing of large number of innocent civilian population. The second objective of this meeting is to judge whether the ASEAN should shift its approach at the key regional summit that is going to take place in the next one. The third objective is also to discuss recommendations on how to push forward the Myanmarese diplomacy as far as the ASEAN is concerned, because Myanmar is a very important member of ASEAN, and that is why any disturbances that is going on in any one of the member countries will have ramifications on the functioning of whole grouping of ASEAN. The fourth objective is also to assess the implementation of the ASEAN Bloc's 5-point consensus peace plan that the government of Myanmar signed with ASEAN 18 months before. So let us try to understand what was the 5-point consensus peace plan. So, as we discussed, the 5-point consensus peace plan was signed between the Myanmarese government and the ASEAN members in the month of April 2021. It has total five major plans, five major points. The first is it calls for an immediate end of hostilities because, as you discussed, there has been continuous and violent civil protests and civil disruptions in the Myanmar, and the Myanmarese military, the Myanmarese junta, basically have cracked down very brutally and have caused killing of many civilians in the process. Second, it also aims to call all the stakeholders on a path of constructive dialogue. Now, if you talk about who are the stakeholders here, so first of all, as we have discussed, that Myanmar's military is the currently ruling Myanmar. So these are the one stakeholder, and on the other hand, we have the other stakeholders. That means we can say the representatives of the earlier civilian government, especially Aung San Suu Kyi. Third point of the peace plan was that ASEAN envoys will act as a mediator in ensuring a peaceful transition of power and also to ensuring the this prevalence of peace in the Myanmar. Fourth, the Myanmar has agreed to allow the ASEAN envoy to meet all the stakeholders, including the representatives of Myanmar's military as well as the earlier civilian government. And the fifth was that ASEAN will be able to provide humanitarian assistance wherever and whenever required in the Myanmar. Now, if we talk about all these 5 points, it is believed by the experts that as far as the first 4 points are concerned, Myanmar has failed to achieve any kind of significant progress. The only progress which can be observed in the last 18 months has been achieved in the fifth point, where Myanmar has allowed to in a limited extent for the humanitarian assistance to be provided by the ASEAN envoys and ASEAN member countries, while the other four or the top four has been largely neglected and ignored. So let us try to understand and gauge the success of the peace plan. So as far as the envoys or ASEAN envoys to Myanmar are concerned, till now there has been two envoys, and both envoys have clearly presented their this what we can say frustration with the approach of Myanmar's government, Myanmar's military, and they have said that Myanmar continuously tries to deny the envoys access to the other stakeholder, especially Aung San Suu Kyi. Not only that, they also have said that Myanmar's junta have refused to engage opponents or the civil society groups that are present in the Myanmar. So they have taken basically a very hardline approach and basically have disbanded all the other existing political parties. Not only that, they have brutally cracked down, and they have actually attempted the brutal crackdown of any kind of civilian unrest against the current government. And in that process, as we discussed, a large number of civilians has been killed as a direct or indirect result of this brutal crackdown. Not only that, the current envoy or ASEAN envoy to Myanmar, Mr. Prak Sokhon, who is currently the External Affairs Minister or Foreign Minister of Cambodia, he has said that the main reason why there has not been any significant success in the execution of this 5 point plan is because there is an absence of political will, as well as there is a lack of trust between the Myanmarese junta as well as the other ASEAN member countries, and due to this, the both of the stakeholders or both of the parties are not able to come together and have a fruitful discussion on the tables of diplomacy. So this is as far as the success of peace plan is concerned. Now the question comes that what has been the junta's response as far as the accusations of scuttling of peace plan is concerned. So the representatives of military junta, military leadership of Myanmar have basically accused the critical ASEAN members, and they have said that ASEAN members or ASEAN envoys are involved in meddling in the internal affairs of Myanmar, and also have warned them not to engage with the NUG. So NUG stands for National Unity Government. That is a government or alternative government that has been formed by the opposition leaders of Myanmar, and they say that military leadership does not represent the democratic will of the Myanmarese people, and that is why there should be a transition from military-led rule to a civilian-based rule. But the military junta has basically disbanded NUG and has declared it as a terrorist organization. Second, it has said that there has been notable progress that has been achieved on the peace plan. However, it's as far as the Myanmarese junta or Myanmarese military's response is concerned, it will only respond based on the current ground scenario. Third is it also has accused its opponents of trying to sabotage the Asian plan. So rather than taking responsibility for success of ASEAN plan for itself, it has basically accused the opponents or the opposition leaders in the Myanmar that they are the one who are scuttling or sabotaging the ASEAN plan. The fourth point that military junta has said is that military offensive that has been highly criticized not only by the ASEAN member countries but also by the other global leaders including US, UK and United Nations. They have said that military offensive justified because it is necessary to protect or to ensure the security of Myanmar. The people who are trying to disturb Myanmar's peace, are not the civilians or not the opposition leader, but these are the terrorists. That has been the approach of Myanmar's military. And the last it says that rather than we can say moving on with the five point plans given by ASEAN, Myanmar's military try to or want to develop a five-step roadmap of their own, and in the future they may try to replace it with the current plan, that is ASEAN plan, that is going on in the Myanmar. Now, the most important question that comes into our mind, that with all these development and all this chaos that is prevailing in the Myanmar, which is also a bordering country of India, what can and has been the impact on India? So, the first major impact that India has witnessed is in its economic sphere, because there has been a lot of projects, infrastructure project that India has planned that was passing through Myanmar. For example, we have IMT highway, that is India Myanmar Thailand highway, connecting the northeastern India to the Thailand via Myanmar. Apart from that, we also have Kaladan multimodal project, which try to again connect the northeastern region of India with the West Bengal via Bay of Bengal as well as via the territory of Myanmar. So there is a lot of economic and logistical projects are there that were ongoing. This has massively suffered as the government of Myanmar is now more concerned with ensuring we can say ensuring peace in the this Myanmarese territory, and they are less concerned with the development of the projects. Second is that since Myanmar has a long border with northeastern states of India, due to the conflict that is going on between the Myanmarese military and the opposition leader, the conflict has been brought even to the border areas of India, where a lot of civilian leaders are or a lot of opposing leaders are hiding and trying to launch an attack on the Myanmarese military. Third, it has led to suffer in the counter-insurgency effort of India, because as we know, the northeastern part of India, especially which has a border with Myanmar, such as Nagaland, Manipur, and Mizoram, these are very disturbed areas. And also, there is a lot of insurgency by the Naga militant group that India witnesses every now and then. So as long as there was a peace in the Myanmar, the Myanmarese government was focused on ensuring that there is no such disturbance or insurgent groups do not take any advantage and attack on India. But once the disturbance is going on in the Myanmar now itself, it is very difficult for the Myanmarese military to have any control over these insurgent groups, and it is possible in the future, taking advantage of this chaos in Myanmar, again insurgent groups can try to strengthen themselves and launch another attack on India. And not only that, due to the crisis going on in Myanmar, it has led to another crisis that we can say as a refugee crisis. And the extent of refugee crisis we can understand from the statement or the report released by United Nations High Commissioner Refugees, who has said that since 2021, when the military government came into power after the coup, almost 22,000 refugees from Myanmar has entered into India. This can also trigger another backlash in the northeastern regions and can also trigger communal clashes in the northeastern India as well. So these are the major concerns or impact on India. The impact ranges from economic to political to the security concerns. So what we can say is the options that ASEAN member countries have as far as dealing with the Myanmar is concerned. So as military junta of Myanmar has clearly shown that they will not respond to any kind of threats, and that is why suspending Myanmar as an ASEAN member is extremely unlikely step. Not only that, there has been proposal of imposing some sort of trade sanctions, but again it is very difficult to impose, and its net result or net outcome is not very we can say favorable as far as the peace and the progress of Myanmar is concerned. So if you look at the prominent members of ASEAN, such as Singapore has said that engaging with the junta had limited value without any progress. And at the same time, Philippines have also said that we should tackle or we should basically take a new approach on Myanmar. And the new approach should at least, at the very least, should try to bring the military junta or its representative to the discussion or to the negotiation table as far as the diplomacy is concerned. So what we can say in conclusion, that whatever decision is taken in today's meeting of foreign affairs of ASEAN or in the next month's we can say ASEAN summit, ASEAN's diplomatic credibility to manage the affair of its members, let alone its claim to a position of centrality in the region's diplomatic architecture, is hanging in the balance. As far as current scenario is concerned, United Nations and the other major countries have backed the ASEAN peace plan and ASEAN's step taken to manage the situation in Myanmar. But if ASEAN fails to achieve any significant outcome, its peace plan and its image among the global leaders as well as among the United Nations will also be threatened. So that is all for this particular video. I hope you understood about the concept behind ASEAN and its meeting that is going to take place today. If you like it, please like, share, and subscribe. That is all for this particular video. Thank you very much.